Welcome to one of the most stunning and awe-inspiring places on Earth, Patagonia. This land boasts barren landscapes, serene lakes and rivers, as well as majestic glaciers and mountains. Today we are diving into this almost untouched natural wonder.
Hello, my name is Dima and you on my travel channel. This is the second part of our adventures in South America. Today we will immerse ourselves in the incredibly beautiful world of Patagonia and figure out why Patagonia so attracts sophisticated travelers and why you simply need to add it to your bucket list. We arrived here from Buenos Aires. If you haven't watched my episode about it yet, you can find the link somewhere here. But now, let's get down to Patagonia.
First, let's talk about what makes Patagonia a must-visit. Spanning over 1 million square kilometers across the southern tip of South America, shared by Argentina and Chile, this region is vast as it is sparse, home to just 2 residents per square kilometer, compared to Austria 102. It is the perfect getaway if you're looking to escape the crowds. The Argentine side features steppes, meadows and deserts, while the Chilean side boasts glacier fjords and large forests.
The best time to visit this region is during the local summer, which lasts from December to March. The main attractions that draw visitors to these places include
Los Glaciares National Park, home to the famous Perito Moreno Glacier, the towering Fitzroy Mountain Peak, Torres del Paine National Park in Chile, known for its stunning vistas. Other notable places are the Valdez Peninsula, the resort town of Bariloche, and the remote regions of Tierra del Fuego and Ushuaia.
To see all of them, you probably need at least 2-3 weeks. We, on the other hand, came here for 3 nights and gave preference to the Perito Moreno Glacier with a side trip to Torres del Paine. I will talk about them further.
The main getaways to Patagonia are the airports in El Calafate, Argentina, and Puerto Natales and Punta Arenas in Chile. Your choice depends on your itinerary. We flew into El Calafate from Buenos Aires, a 3-hour and 15 minutes flight, primarily with Aerolíneas Argentinas, known for their excellent service despite higher ticket prices, especially during peak season.
I can say that their planes and service are on a very good level. The only downside is the cost of tickets, which averages around $300 US or more per person during the high season. Interestingly, that the cost is significantly low for locals, so it's a kind of airfare discrimination.
The airport, 20 kilometers from El Calafate and near Lake Argentina, welcomes you with a vast Patagonian steppe, known locally as Pampas, signaling your arrival at the world's edge. The modern airport facility was a pleasant surprise, equipped with all necessary amenities.
This fact pleasantly surprised us because in such remote places airports usually resemble old bus stations. To get from the airport to the town, you have 2 options: by taxi or by group transfer.
You can arrange both directly at the airport. A taxi ride costs about $25 US, while the group transfer is $12 per person for a round trip. We opted for the latter, finding it quite convenient for a 15-minute ride.
Now a few words about choosing a hotel in El Calafate. There are quite a few options for such a small town.
Given its limited popularity and brief tourist season, accommodation tends to be pricey, with rates ranging from $100 to $250 per night, depending on the hotel. During peak season, most hotels are almost fully booked, so it's crucial to make reservations early. We stayed at the Alta Calafate Hotel, paying $350 for 3 nights, breakfast included.
Initially we had another reservation, but the hotel cancelled it without giving any reasons just one day before our arrival. After long and frankly somewhat futile discussions with booking, we were lucky to book the Alta Hotel while sitting at the El Calafate airport, and I have to say that it was a wonderful choice.
The hotel offered a stunning view of the city and Lake Argentina from its elevated location. The Alta's perks include a spa with a scenic pool and community area in the lobby where guests gathered in the evenings to talk about their day's sights. The only drawback might be the hotel restaurant, which was a bit disappointing. However, overall it is a solid choice for El Calafate. Since this was the last room, it had two separate beds. What can you do? This is the bathroom. But overall, it is a very decent option to stay in El Calafate.
After checking in, having lunch and relaxing at the hotel's spa, we headed out for a walk in the city center.
Referring to it as a city might be overstating it. It is more of a town designed to support the main attraction, Los Glaciares National Park, catering primarily to tourists. Similar to towns near ski resorts, there is a main street, Avenida del Libertador, where you will find everything: shops, tour agencies, cafes and restaurants. Surprisingly, unlike in Buenos Aires, we even found a currency exchange with good rates here. However, wandering around the city center is not particularly special. You could easily skip it.
We also stopped by an equipment store to rent trekking boots for our planned visit to the glacier.
Renting gear is common in El Calafate, as carrying boots just for a few hours of hiking is most situated for dedicated hikers. Keep this in mind when planning your trip.
After looking around and sorting out some organizational matters, we decided to check the local restaurants.
The restaurant Lasagna was ranked fourth among El Calafate's best eateries at that time. We were fortunate to get the only available table, which was quite a feat given the restaurant's small size. Though its exterior was somewhat unassuming, the experience taught us not to judge a book by its cover. Inside we were greeted by a mix of international guests and warm Argentine hospitality. The restaurant specializes in traditional Argentine dishes based on family recipes. The food was exceptional and I highly recommend adding it to your list.
The following day blessed us with excellent sunny weather, which is not a common occurrence here. This was especially valuable given our upcoming encounter with Patagonia's gem, the Perito Moreno glacier. Since this experience was our first, it piqued our interest.
Before reaching the site, I'd like to talk about the logistics. Generally, there are three ways to explore this famous glacier. The most straightforward and affordable option is a viewing platform across from the glacier, which is worth a visit. However, just stopping there would be selling yourself short. The second option is a boat trip that allows you to see the glacier up close from a ship's deck. The third and most immersive, though priciest, is trekking on the glacier itself.
The cost of this activity can vary significantly depending on the number of intermediaries and their profit margins. Many agencies charge more than $350 per person.
Fortunately, I found a company called Hilo Aventura, the direct operator of these tours, with the prices at $120 per person. You will find a link to their website in the description.
It's also important to know that there are some requirements for those who wish to go trekking on the glacier.
They do not allow children under 8 years old, adults over 65, pregnant women or people who are overweight. They also do not recommend this activity for people with heart conditions. You will need to have warm clothing, trekking boots, food for the whole day and sunscreen. It all starts with the transfer from El Calafate to Los Glaciares National Park, which is located about 80 kilometers away. Upon arriving at the park, we stopped briefly to take in our surroundings and immerse ourselves in the area's beauty. Then we made our way to a mini port to catch a boat across Lake Argentina.
Buen días.
Vamos ingresando, por favor.
Okay.
So what is like on the board? Well, it is a straightforward boat ride. The trip across the lake takes about 20 minutes. Interestingly, the boat cruising the lake was custom built by Mercedes-Benz specifically for Perito Moreno. As the glacier came into view, we, along with other passengers, rushed to the deck despite the chilly wind. I'll never forget the first glimpse of the glacier. It is a moment I'll remember for a life. As we got closer, the glacier's immense size became apparent, and it was truly breathtaking. Docking was tricky with chance of glacier floating around, but we managed to land safely.
At the campsite, not far from drop-off point, everyone left unnecessary items behind and continued towards the glacier.
For tourists' convenience, parts of the trail have platforms. Our guide briefly lectured about the glacier,
almost 3,000 meters, yeah, and it's
mentioning that the view from his office is second to none. As we moved closer to the glacier, the landscape seemed almost Martian. It reminded me of that Matthew McConaughey space movie, Interstellar. Near the glacier there is a camp where you're fitted with crampons, essential for walking on ice. Specialists help you put them on properly. A pretty serious process, right? Safety first, after all. The glacier awaits.
My crampons didn't fit me.
So they are finding you a replacement, maybe something from the new collection. How are you holding up?
Great.
And how do you feel about wearing heels? Well, now I finally get to wear heels too. Just need to make sure I do not step on anyone's toes. By the way, there is an Instagram-worthy spot with Argentine flag that's quite spectacular. Just before we start scanning, we receive a safety briefing and learn about the nuances of moving on the ice.
way up. Your feet need to stay like this, really up. Yeah, you can use like a duck.
Then our incredible walk begins. The guide leads, constantly checking the safety of our path, because there is no one correct route, and it changes all the time. The glacier is always moving and melting in places, so the risk of falling through is real. That's why staying on the path is crucial. Another highlight is tasting real melted glacier water. By the way, the Perito Moreno is the third largest freshwater reserve in the world. I forgot to tell you that there is also something called Big Ice here. If our regular trek takes about an hour and a half, Big Ice takes 6 hours, requires good physical condition and is more expensive. Mini trekking costs $120 per person, while Big Ice is $290. The path on the glacier winds through streams, caves and crevices, and the guide stops at some interesting spots. From many angles, the glacier appears instantly blue, a stunning sight in person. This phenomenon has a scientific explanation, but let's skip that. If you hold a small piece of ice, it's completely clear. Our walk ends spectacularly. Everyone is offered a glass of whiskey with 1,000-year-old ice, to tours to the glacier and to Perito Moreno. Friends, come visit.
Salute!
Thank you, guys.
Next, you'll embark on the return journey to the opposite shore of the lake. From there, you will be transferred to an observation platform located right in front of central wall of the glacier.
Whether you want to or not, if you have seen Game of Thrones, you can't help but think of wildlings and White Walkers when you see this. On a more serious note, this perspective lets you truly appreciate the grandeur of the glacier. Perita Morena covers an area of 250 square kilometers, with the visible part standing about 70 meters above the water, which is roughly the height of the 23-story building, and that's just above water. Beneath the surface, in some places, it plunges down to 700 meters. The highlight for anyone visiting the glacier's observation deck is watching huge blocks of ice break off and dramatically plunge into the water. This is a frequent sight because the glacier is very much alive, constantly shifting. It moves about 2 meters per day, which means around 2 meters of its front edge collapse into the water and melt each day. Despite this, the glacier does not shrink. There is an accumulation area at the top where new ice is constantly formed. As we expected, our introduction to Perita Morena was incredibly impressive and definitely worth the effort and expense.
For dinner that day I had planned to visit a restaurant called Parilla Don Pichon, but upon arrival it didn't impress us at all. So we set out in search of an alternative.
We quickly found a great spot, La Tablita. Like most restaurants in El Calafate, it specializes in meats and steaks. We ordered a steak, a few traditional appetizers and a bottle of excellent Argentine Malbec. The total bill was around 50 US. It's worth mentioning that Argentine cuisine is generally exceptional and rarely disappointed.
The next day was dedicated to exploring the Chilean part of Patagonia, specifically Torres del Paine National Park.
Torres del Paine is Chile's most famous and visited tourist spot. The park is vast, covering nearly 2,500 square kilometers, about the size of Luxembourg. It's renowned for its stunning mountain scenery. The iconic Paine Massif, with its three needle-like peaks, is the park's centerpiece. Besides mountains, you'll find lakes with surreal colors, mountain rivers, waterfalls, and diverse wildlife.
There are several ways to explore this park. The most comprehensive and relatively budget-friendly option is to embark on a hike through it.
For the enthusiastic, there are two hiking routes lasting 5 and 9 days that showcase the region's beauty. You can camp in your own tent or use various campgrounds and refugios similar to hostels along the routes. Another option is staying in nearby Puerto Natales and visiting the park by bus or rental car for day trips. This might be the most practical approach. For those pressed for time, there are day excursions from Puerto Natales or El Calafate. If you prefer luxury, several high-end hotels provide a lavish experience with prices up to 3,000 US a night, reflecting the remote location.
Our choice was a one-day excursion from El Calafate, and I will now tell you about its pros and cons. Many agencies in El Calafate offer this option, and their price vary greatly, just like with the glacier tours.
During the peak season from November to March, prices can almost double compared to other months. However, given the weather, I wouldn't recommend visiting in the off-season. For this activity, we went with Patagonia Chic, a company I definitely recommend. You can find a link to their website in the description below.
Considering that one-way journey takes about 3 hours, it all starts early, at 3:30 in the morning.
The roads in Patagonia are mostly dirt, so you need the right kind of rugged, almost merchant transportation. It was not the most comfortable ride, but at speeds of 100 km per hour, the off-road vehicle managed the rough terrain quite skillfully. The first notable place after 200 km journey with a monotonous steppe landscape outside the window was a border crossing between Argentina and Chile. It is quite informal there. Calling it a border with a gate would be overstating it. The crossing process took about an hour.
There are many viewpoints in the park. The main activity for all tourists who come here is moving between these points.
As I mentioned before, seeing them all would take several days. Our one-day excursion only included a few. Our first stop was at a viewpoint overlooking Lake Sarmiento, the second largest lake in Torres del Paine. From there you can see the lake, and in the distance you might catch a glimpse of the Paine Massif. Next we stop at Laguna Amarga, renowned for its unique bluish-green water. There we first encountered the guanacos, ancestors of llamas and the primary prey for the local pumas, the region's only predators. Guanacos are used to humans and did not seem bothered, allowing us to watch them at our leisure. The same cannot be said for the elusive local pumas. Spotting one is indeed a rare treat. Then we headed to a small yet striking mini waterfall called Cascada Rio Paine. The place is truly captivating, offering an endless spectacle that mesmerizes endlessly. After lunch and visit to another scenic viewpoint at a lake known by Swedish name Nordenskjöld, we made our way to Mirador Cuernos.
This is the closest and perhaps the most beautiful viewpoint for observing the same mountain range. You can't drive directly to it, so we had a short hike ahead.
The hike primarily takes place in a valley that was severely affected by a massive fire started by tourists in 2011. This event was a true catastrophe for Chile. Reminders of it are these remarkable trees that endured the fire and survived in this new form, giving a somewhat fantastical appearance to the already stunning landscapes around. The places here are truly incredible. It feels like you're in a Lord of the Rings. Consequently, the trail leads to the shores of the same Swedish lake, offering the best view of the Paine Massif and its highest peak, Paine Grande. This place can definitely be counted among the most beautiful on the planet.
The next location on our route was the Salto Grande waterfall, which translates like big jump.
It is a small but impressive waterfall connecting Lake Nordenskjöld and Lake Peoe. Its unusual milky blue water color adds to its charm. Overall, it is another visually pleasing location that will surely provide a dose of positive emotions.
And the last stop for us in Torre del Paine was Lake Peoe.
This place is undoubtedly beautiful and picturesque. By the way, there is a small island nearby with a hotel called Hosteria Pejo. It is one of the few spots in the park where you can stay comfortably at relatively reasonable prices. Sure, it looks quite simple, but the stunning nature surrounding it more than makes up for it. If you can, it is definitely worth staying here for at least a night. Overall, our quick visit to Torre del Paine felt quite superficial. To really explore it, you should plan to stay for at least 2 or 3 days.
I hope this episode was interesting and useful for you. To say that this place is astonishing is an understatement. The experience we had here is challenging to compare to anything else. In a way, this visit became an otherworldly adventure for us, and the memories of it will certainly not fade with time. Many things can be missed, but definitely not Patagonia. Thank you for watching until the end. Press the like button if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel. And see you in the next episode at the Iguazu Falls